Now, this little star tracker has certainly had a lot of hype around it since it came out a couple years ago. This is the Benro Polaris. So I've been able to test this thing now for the last few months, get my opinions on it, and be able to tell you whether I like it or not, and whether I would recommend it. Now, of course, there's a product for everyone. So there is definitely people who are going to love this tracker, but I also think it's important that you know a few key things before you think about purchasing it, which I'm going to talk about in today's video. Now, most of you here probably already know, but a star tracker enables you to capture super long exposures of the night sky. It's a great way to take landscape images of the night sky where you blend a foreground in and then you create this kind of nightscape style of photo. This is just the newest tracker. There's a lot of them on the market, some popular ones from companies like Move Shoot Move, iOptron, Skywatcher, Slick, many other companies out there. And I've tried 5 or 6 different trackers, so I'll be able to stack this one up compared to the other trackers. Now, to get started, let's jump in and just talk about how this thing stacks up when it comes to cost, size, and just other basic specs. Now, this is obviously one of the most expensive trackers on the market at $1,000. I'm not aware of another tracker that's meant for kind of these astroscapes or nightscape photos that is any more expensive than this one. It runs, at least at the time of this making, about $1,000 US, which is substantial compared to some of the other ones like the Move Shoot Move, which is in the high 200s, low 300s. And then some of the iOptron and Skywatcher ones, which are in the $400 to $500 range. Now, it's not too big compared to some of the other trackers. It's not too small either. It's definitely not the largest, not the smallest. And so you're kind of just right in the middle when it comes to the size of the tracker. And when you think about how much weight the tracker can hold, it's basically right in the middle as well. So you can definitely put any type of wide angle lens on here, most mid-range lenses, and even like a 70 to 200 would probably be fine on this tracker, can support a decent amount of weight. When it comes to all those specs, the tracker definitely checks out and it matches up with some of the competition. Now, one of the things that sets this tracker apart is that you can digitally align it, meaning you hook your camera up. In fact, it's the only way to align it. You hook your camera up, you set it on top, and then you're looking at your phone screen through an app to align the tracker. And your phone screen is showing you actually your camera screen. So you connect your camera to the tracker. Then you're looking through as well. Now, on a Sony camera, we've got a cool setting called bright monitoring. If you shoot a Sony or an Icon, or there's a couple other brands that have it as well, you should definitely know about this bright monitoring setting because it makes it so much easier to align the tracker. And if you're shooting on something like a Canon or someone else that doesn't have bright monitoring or starlight view or something like that, you are going to struggle to align this tracker, in my opinion. Reason being because when I turn that bright monitoring on, it allows me to see the stars a lot brighter, a lot better, which helps with this tracker because I need to be able to see a star to align the tracker, and I'm looking at it through my phone screen. Now, it's generally recommended to use a lens, probably not your widest angle lens, and probably not your f4 or f5.6 lens. You really want to have an f2.8 or lower, even if you're not going to shoot at that aperture, just to be able to see the stars in the frame, which is kind of frustrating because ideally I don't really like to swap my lenses. I don't want to have to put my 40mm on just to align to the stars and then swap lens, because that adds for a lot of uncertainty of, oops, the tracker just moved because I moved the lens as I pulled it off or anything like that. Luckily, I have a 14 to 24 or a 16 to 25 that I can use. So I usually just zoom in and open it up to f2.8. And the tracking works decently. I have really good eyes, so I can see it on my phone, but some people might struggle. You can actually zoom in to see the star a little bit better. So you can zoom in and then you can get really fine-tuned alignment here. And then the other thing that does make this Benro Polaris special is that you don't just align it to the North Star. You certainly can. That's usually what I do. But if you're in a place where, you know, out here I'm not going to have a problem. I've got so much blue sky. But if I'm in a place like there's a beach that I like to take photos on, night photos in Oregon, and there's trees on both sides, so you can't see the North Star, but you can see other celestial objects out in front of you. So you could align this tracker still at that beach because you don't have to worry about seeing the North Star. So that does add to the versatility of this tracker. But keep in mind, unlike other trackers where you're aligning via a scope or a laser or both, you can't do that on this tracker. So I do think the alignment does take a little bit longer. It's not as fast as, you know, I really enjoyed using my Move Shoot Move tracker that has both a scope and a laser. I can set that thing up in a matter of 30 seconds. This one probably takes me 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, because there's a lot of different things going on and a lot of things you have to think about. So that is something to keep in mind. The setup on this is going to take you a little longer, but you can get it really, really precise using it with your camera. If you don't have right monitoring on your camera, I think you're going to have a heck of a time aligning this thing with the stars. Let's talk about the marquee feature on this thing. Of course, there's many other things you can do other than astro. You can use it for time lapse and other kinds of tracking. But let's be honest, if you're watching this video, you're probably looking at the Benro Polaris with astro head for astrophotography like me. Now, when it comes to astrophotography, the marquee feature is that it has automatic panoramas. And when I say automatic, I mean you can set the first shot in your panorama and set the last shot, and then set your exposure time and everything like that, and then hit start, and this will do everything for you. It'll move the camera, it'll keep it tracking, it'll take the photos, so you can literally just press play and go. Earlier this year, I took a few images where I was doing 8-minute long exposures, and I was doing a 2-row pano. So, you know, you can stand outside and wait and move your camera every 8 minutes. It is awfully convenient to be able to just put the first image, the last image, hit start, and then, you know, go to bed, take a nap, sit down, put your hands in your pockets, whatever you want to do. It is convenient. It's also convenient because most of you know, if you've tried a Milky Way panorama before, it can be difficult to know where the frame needs to go in terms of how much overlap. During the daytime, it's obvious, you know, you're going to overlap 40 to 50%. At nighttime, it's a little bit of, it has a learning curve of how much you should move your camera if you're not using an automatic tracker like this, because you can't see in the scene as well. So you have to pick out little spots in your scene and kind of move it. And a lot of times you have it off. And I see this all the time. Students at my workshops, they have a hard time figuring out how much they should be moving each frame in the panorama. I will say using the automatic panorama on this is hit or miss. Sometimes it stitches really nicely in Lightroom. Other times I have to bring it into a more advanced editor like PT GUI. And other times I can't get it to stitch at all. Sometimes there is some issues, which is frustrating since, you know, this is using math to move your camera. So in theory, it shouldn't have problems, but I still find that every once in a while I will have problems with stitching the pano later. But that is the most convenient feature here. And then of course the digital controls are nice. A lot of people like that, as opposed to having to adjust a ball head, move the camera, tighten it back down, worry about all that. With this, I can simply sit in my truck and use my phone and use the joysticks to move it back and forth. So it's really easy to move around to adjust the scenes. But if you're not shooting panoramas, I really don't know. There's just not really worth getting this tracker, in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the negatives to this tracker. And I know so far maybe it sounds like I'm all gung-ho for the tracker. I really like it now that I've figured it out, but there is some negatives. Number one, the learning curve is incredibly steep. So steep, let me tell you. You can probably see I'm a younger guy. I'm very, very tech savvy. It probably took me 3 to 4 nights out with this thing before I even got it to work once successfully. I spent so much time reading the manuals, and the manual just doesn't cover everything that you need to know. I had to do a lot of YouTubing. I know there is instructors out there that make courses just on the Benro Polaris on how to use it. I hate buying a product and knowing that I have to spend more money just to learn how to use it because the user manual is not set up well enough. There's literally, when you get the user manual, if that's all you're relying on, you will not figure this tracker out. You're going to have to do more digging than that. So if you're someone who's not tech savvy, I would highly recommend not getting this tracker, because you are going to struggle. I know a few people that have bought it and returned it because they said it's just too much hassle. It's not worth it. So keep that in mind. Part of the problem is the app also is so poorly designed. When you go in the app, you look at it, it's very obvious that the app has been designed by somebody who's like an engineer. It hasn't been designed by somebody that knows a lot about user interface, that knows how to make something really usable, because it is a huge pain figuring out the app, moving things around, and just getting the tracker to do what you want. Additionally, there's a lot of things that you would not know, like, you know, the camera has to be a certain direction on this. You know, you double tap this back button and that brings it back to the resting spot. Single tap does something different. It's like if you're not using this every night, you're going to forget all these buttons and controls that you figure out. And so the learning curve really is steep. Additionally, if you want to shoot a vertical panorama, like so many people do when they're shooting this Milky Way panorama, you do have to get like an L bracket and then put another attachment on the L bracket, because you can't get the camera to point the right direction with an L bracket on unless the L bracket is turned sideways, if that makes sense. Maybe I'll put an image here kind of showing you what I use to do that. It's not very well set up. You also have to have access to the ports on the side, so you need to slide that out. There's just so much going on if you want to use an L bracket. It was just really frustrating for me to figure that out. Now, additionally, obviously, if you're on a budget or you want something that's small, lightweight, and packable, this one's probably not for you. You probably want to look at the Move, Shoot, Move Nomad. I've got a review video on that one here. If you're someone who doesn't mind the learning curve, you're going to use this a lot, you're really going to love that panorama feature. Like for me, I bring my truck out here. I sleep in the back of my truck, so I can literally set my camera up, press play, go to bed, and wake up in the morning, and I've got all my images done because the tracker did all the work. This is a great tracker for that. So don't get me wrong, it's a good tracker if you're willing to put in the time, willing to put in the work to learn how it works. But don't think you're going to pull it out of the box and get great images on day one. It's going to take you 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 days to figure this thing out because there's so much to think about. So hey, hopefully that video is informative. If you guys have any questions about this tracker, let me know down below. I got this tracker way earlier this year, so I've tested it many, many times. I wanted to make sure to get a lot of tests under my belt to give you true and honest opinions. So if you have any more questions, I definitely know a lot more about this tracker if you're wanting to know about the specifics. Otherwise, if you guys are serious about improving your photography, make sure to subscribe to my channel. My name's Austin James Jackson. Always appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so incredibly much. Alrighty, guys, we will see you all next time.